Hello, this is the writer's commentary of Chapter 6, Cliff's Edge Part 1, from the novel My Costume, written by me, Michael Helveti. So, if you watched the introduction writer's commentary, I read the whole chapter and I gave commentary as I went along. It was really long. It was 1 hour. I can't, in my wildest dreams, imagine that someone is actually going to sit there and watch an hour of me talking about my introduction, but maybe. So from now on, I'm gonna I'm not gonna read everything. I'm going to kind of scan it and then make comments. So the main thing with this chapter is it's part one, and part two comes later. So there's one or two chapters in between, maybe three. Um, and it was just such a long chapter, and as I was structuring the book, I just felt like there was a nice way to spread it apart. So in this chapter, I'm actually a kindergarten teacher because when I arrived in Korea, I was a gym teacher. And it's one of those things you don't think, maybe you think, oh, I'll be a gym teacher when I grow up. I never thought I'll be a gym teacher. Um, and I was. So here, I'm a kindergarten teacher. And I was very nervous about it. I mean, if you read the stuff before, um, I was very nervous. I was very nervous. So I talk about the students disappearing and that I can hear them and they're under the table and they say, ah, he, 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 he. Uh, there's not there's not too much here. I mean, I was really playing with similes when I wrote this book. So I didn't know that I would be a classroom cowboy, wrangling my students like cattle, penning them in their chairs with threats and sweet rewards. And then I follow that up with this idea that my legs are scissors. And I chose scissors because scissors are in a classroom. It's a classroom thing. And I like that idea that I'm kind of awkward. If you were walking on scissor legs, they're snapping shut. It's quick. I'm slicing the air. Like I'm trying to move fast, but I'm also awkward. I think if you really look at that simile, it's kind of silly and it's kind of fits perfectly with my awkwardness in the classroom. I spend a really long time describing all of the students. Like, this is a lot of me describing the students. It felt weird when I was reading it aloud, but I mean, you kind of need to know what they look like. This was something I added kind of at the very end. I didn't have a lot of description, and I had people helping me with this, other writers helping me with this. Oh, geez, every video, the messages keep popping up. I should have turned it off. I keep forgetting. That's Kakao Talk. If you don't know, that's the big communication app here in Korea. If you don't use it, you're going to miss out because everyone uses it. That's how we all communicate with each other. But anyways, what am I saying? Describing the students. Oh, I'm talking about getting peer editing. I used this website, Scribophile. I really enjoyed it. It can be difficult. It can be really taxing. Basically, uh, you get you get points. Those don't necessarily mean anything, but you have these karma, and it takes, I think, 5 karma to post about 3,000 words. So a novel, you're posting little 3,000 word chunks, and then you'll have 3 people edit it. You can send messages to each other. 6 months ago. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been on here for a long time. Um, I really like it. I think there's a real good sense of community. People have always been very helpful and nice and kind, and it kind of helped build up a rather small audience for the novel when it came out. It's just really hard to find the balance to write as much as I want to write, and then go and read other people's writing and tell them everything that's wrong with their writing, because not what's wrong, but what could be better. I want to help them, and I end up writing 1,000 words a lot of times, and that's 1,000 words I could be writing on my novel, and that starts to add up. So I think if you're starting, if you're struggling, I think this is a really nice place. There's probably other places like it, but this was the one I found and I really enjoyed it. But so people there suggested, oh, you should describe what your students look like. Um, this whole thing, it's about the kids running around the classroom. I could not control them when I when I started teaching. That I still can't necessarily control students. I don't teach kindergarten students generally as a rule now. I try to only teach kids who are at least elementary. Uh, if I'm teaching younger kids, it's part-time work and I have full-time job. I don't want to be exhausted trying to take care of a young kid. Plus, I've had my own young kids for many, many years that I was taking care of, and I didn't want to go take care of someone else's young kid when I had to take care of my own young kids. Um, there's only one main thing stylistically I want to talk about. So I'll just kind of give you the behind the scenes. Here, Rose, I talk about Rose. Rose was such an amazing student. She starts out, she doesn't talk at all. She, I don't know what it was. She was just very quiet, very shy. She didn't really play. She just seemed really out of place. She really didn't want to be there. Um, she might have been an only child, and probably just thought studying English was stupid. Um, but you'll find out later that she really develops and changes and says things that really impacted me as a teacher. I mean, I'll never forget her. But she was this really cute little girl, and it was so frustrating because literally I would be teaching. Everyone's in the classroom. Like, kids know they need to stay in the classroom. She would just stand up and open the door and walk out. And I thought, maybe she's going to the bathroom, but no, she would just go walk around the school. I would find her, you know, looking into other classrooms. I would find her in the gym watching kids play. She would go to the secretaries. She would go to the principal. Like, she would just wander around. It was so frustrating. The I'm a new teacher. I've never taught before. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I have a student who just escapes the classroom. Oh, it was so frustrating. Um, the books, the books that I used at this school, they were really frustrating because they wouldn't just buy textbooks and have a series of textbooks. I think there was a phonics book it was like a scholastic phonics, which is very widely used. That one was pretty good. I still use that sometimes. But then they had like theme lessons, and you were supposed to make your own book. So you would gather resources from what printouts they had, other books, things you found online, and you put together this really goofy looking textbook. Um, it was it was a mess. So and yeah, the principal would walk by. She would just look in the window. She never smiled. She never seemed happy. Um, I'll tell what's interesting is the principal. My wife, her parents, so my in-laws, are friends with the principal, or they used to be. So that's why she started working at the same school as me. My wife did. She started working there, and we started dating. And suddenly, the principal would be really nice, completely changed her, because suddenly I had this connection to this family that she was friends with. Uh, it's kind of interesting. I actually saw her I'd say like 2, 3 years ago. And I mean, I hadn't seen her for 15 years, probably. We'll say 10 or 12 years. She was at Starbucks drinking coffee with her son. Um, I didn't go over and say hi. I thought about it, but it would have just been so weird. She doesn't really speak English. So, and I never, I didn't like working there. I mean, I did and I didn't. There were a lot of problems with it. All right. Anyways, I'm rambling. I need to stay focused. There's a lot of lists in this part. A lot of really long sentences. I mean, this one's a little bit long. That was another thing that I was really having fun with when I was writing this. I wanted to have some really long sentences. Uh, I I think they're fun. I think as long as it's well written, it's fun to have a long sentence. And I also think a confusing sentence has its purpose. See, there's too many rules when it comes to writing. Oh, don't do this, don't do that, don't. And everyone has different rules. I mean, I don't think that 100% of people will agree. Um, yeah, you should put a period at the end of your sentence. If it's a question, you should have a question mark. But part of me is always tempted to break those rules in some interesting way. So someone tells you, "Oh, you shouldn't write a lot of long sentences." Well, it depends. It depends. There's always an exception to the rule. Um, Sometimes it just conveys the right thought. I'm a really firm believer in gut feelings. Sometimes it just feels right. You get a gut feeling. This feels right. This really long sentence, and I want to keep it. Now, maybe I need to polish it a little, spend some time, make sure that it works as a long sentence. But I mean, ultimately, you do want to kind of have a rhythm. And reading it out loud helps. Having other people read it, that helps. Um, I get into the costume idea a little bit here. And, well, okay. Oh, geez. Excuse me. So, I drank too much coffee. This is the main idea. I miss being a gym teacher. And here, there were rules, but you can bend them and break them. I mean, the gym class, it was chaos. It was kind of wonderful. Um, and suddenly I'm in a classroom. And all I could think about when I started writing about this, I've said it was therapy for me writing about these things. I I don't think I had any uh, serious issues. I'm pretty flexible. Um, I knew I was there to do a job, and I wanted to do a good job. Um, and I had my own ideas about how I should do that job, how I should teach, but ultimately, I knew that I just didn't have the background or experience. So when people were telling me, when the principal or other teachers were telling me things, have the kids sit down, blah blah blah, there was value in that. There was value in that. But at the same time, I just couldn't help thinking of the idea from Catcher in the Rye of this big field of rye, and that he wants to catch kids before they run over this cliff's edge. And I really related to that as a teacher. The idea that, you know, I'm kind of pushing them off that cliff. I'm telling them, I'm hurrying them into some kind of maturity. Maybe not adulthood, but these are kids who were, I'd say, 7 years old, 6 years old. I mean, they were young. They were kindergartners, and yeah, they need to learn to sit down and do certain things. But I saw so much value in making learning fun, and I really killed myself trying to make learning fun. I mean, I gave myself an education in teaching by searching for all the information I could online. I wanted to be a good teacher for these kids, and I wanted them to have fun. You If you make that connection with them, learning English is fun, well, then they might continue to study English. And when they're older, they'll look back and they'll remember, oh man, I remember kindergarten, it was great. They're not going to think, oh, I had this scary American man who yelled at me and made me sit down. So it's a struggle. I still struggle with that. I try to give students as much breathing room as I can. Um, I have kids who sing during class, and a part of me thinks, "Oh no, you got to be quiet because your mom's going to hear and get angry." But it's keeping their mind occupied while they're doing something that's otherwise boring. They're writing grammar. And if they can write the grammar and sing at the same time, it's keeping them awake, it's keeping their energy up. Uh, so I always struggle with that. I'm still rambling. Um, but this is a big thing. This idea of a cliff and you fall over into adulthood. And it shows up later. There's another chapter called Cliff's Edge Part 2. And I specifically chose not to explore that one here. If people actually watch these videos and want me to talk about that one, I will. It just feels like that's the climax of the first part of the book. And I can't read parts of this book without getting a little choked up. Um, For example, when I was reading this part where I'm calling Alice a copycat, I mean, I really did that. It was terrible. And I wasn't being mean. I don't know, I was trying to tease her. Oh, you're a copycat. Um, but she understood. She understood the meaning, even if she didn't understand the words. Like she understood that I wasn't happy about something. She understood that she was doing something that I didn't like. And reading that earlier, I got a little choked up. I was having a little bit of trouble. Um, this is not always a pretty book. Uh, I was young and stupid and did a lot of stupid things. I still do stupid things. We all do. I don't care who you are. Um, Look at presidents. They do stupid things all the time. We can't help it. We're human. We're flawed. Um, but I think if I read the Cliff's Edge part two, the climactic part, I just can't promise I wouldn't be in tears. I mean, so much of my own personal emotion is tied into this. Um, it's therapy. I took all the feelings and I made them as pretty as I could, and I kind of put them in a little box and sealed it and sent it out for all of you. And when I go back and open up that box, all those feelings come back, and they were very intense feelings. This was a pivotal period during my life. Um, so I will say about this chapter, there's the usual sort of contrast. I like contrast. Uh, there's this beautiful thing where Alice and I are coloring together, right? And um, is that what I want to? I don't. Yeah, okay. Alice and I are coloring together, and it should be this really beautiful moment, and then I make it ugly because I say, "Oh, you're a copycat," and I make her cry. Um, I'm writing things on the board. I'm having the students answer, and I really like um, build it up like I'm this amazing teacher. I'm lost in this daydream, and one of my students has pooped in his pants. Now, so again, there's that contrast. Oh, look at me. Oh, I'm not paying attention. Uh, it's kind of it's crude. I mean, he's a child, and I'm saying he shit himself. Um, I chose that on purpose. I wanted it to sound crude uh, because I'm standing there thinking, oh, I'm this great teacher. I'm finally figuring things out. Well, no, I'm not. I'm not paying enough attention to what's happening, and it's not a cute thing that he pooped in his pants. It's not entirely his fault, but I wanted to make it ugly, not as a reflection of him, but as a reflection of me. It's my fault. Like, I'm the one who made him do that because he probably needed to go to the bathroom and I was too wrapped up in the lesson and ignored him. um again, there's this contrast. We're doing something, we're doing an activity, we're having fun. Like, the students were literally on the edges of their seat, they're like climbing up onto the table, uh having fun. And then this other teacher walked in. He was a sort of head teacher and started yelling at them all, telling them to sit down. And it really did bother me. I mean, I really wanted to yell at him, but he could have just knocked me out. Uh, he was kind of a scary dude. I, I, I basically got along with everybody. I didn't, I don't like to fight with people, but um, he just didn't feel entirely human. He just operated on a completely different wavelength from me. He was this entirely different sort of person. He was a bit older, he was more experienced, but it was just there was just no figuring him out. There was no rhythm to the way that he lived his life and did things. It was as if I were in on the road, and he was this sort of free spirited traveler who you never quite knew what he was going to do. He was just drifting through life in a completely different stream than the rest of us. He was a really fascinating guy. He introduced me to a lot of really cool authors that I might not have discovered otherwise. Um, Experiences and things. I mean, I think we were friends, but we weren't good friends. But we were friends. I really respected him. Um, yeah. So then they're crying and like our great activity is ruined. And then, but again, there's we're doing something fun. Someone comes and ruins it. there's a gradual shift sort of happening. Like, I'm slowly figuring things out, and now other people are interfering. Um, it's hard. It was hard to tell a story like this. You don't know what happened. You don't know how it happened that I hurt Anthony's toe. Um, I mean, I can still remember like him crying, and I knew exactly what had happened. Um, and it's kind of a test as a reader. What do you think happened? Like, how horrible do you think I am? Like, I make it sound like maybe I intentionally did something, but I didn't. Um, if you've read this, if you listened to the other video, we had we had these low tables, and I would kind of pick it up just a little bit. You know, I'd be sitting down, but I would lift it up, and then I would just kind of bang bang, like it would make this wonderful noise. I mean, it was so loud, and all the students would just they would just stop. So I wouldn't have to yell and scream. And on that day, I lifted it up just enough that his foot slipped under there, and I brought it down right on his toe. It was a complete accident. I should have known better. And honestly, I mean, just panic sets in. It's like his toe could be broken, and I did that. Like suddenly, I'm thinking, am I going to go to jail? That's got to be some kind of involuntary assault or something. I'm thinking, oh my god, what do I do? Like, I should lie, and I really was thinking of all these different lies and thinking, okay, which one's the best lie? And then I just I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Like, I can't lie about these kids. I can't lie to them, to their parents. It's just so wrong. It felt horrible. Um, and it's hard to express it here. Like, I say I become a man. It seems corny, I know, but um I was a I always lied as a kid. I lied a lot. I think I lied more than kids normally lie. I didn't want to get in trouble. I hated getting in trouble. I hated being wrong. And luckily, my education introduced me to the idea that it's okay to be wrong and to learn from your mistakes. And I have always been pushing myself to be better and improve at various things that I'm interested in and do. So when I told the truth there instead of lying, uh, it really did become kind of a core of my personality. I don't I don't lie to people. Um, I mean, I don't tell them a truth in such a way that it's going to hurt their feelings. You can cushion things a little bit, but I really try to be honest. And there's two big things to that. One is, as a teacher, being honest and saying, "Oh, I don't know about that," instead of lying and pretending like, "Oh yeah, oh really, oh yeah, of course." That you can do things like that when someone's telling you something, but if I don't know about something, I don't tell the white lie of pretending that I know what someone's talking about. I have students who talk about things, and I tell them like, "Oh geez, I don't know anything about cars. Like, can what can you teach me? Can you explain it to me?" And it's so much better for conversations. The other thing is, it just builds it builds a reputation. My my wife knows, my children know, my family knows, they know that I don't lie. So whatever I say, it's face value, and they can trust it. And my my wife gets angry at me because uh, I can't lie. What's really interesting is, especially in Korean, I can't think quickly enough when I'm speaking Korean to lie. So the truth comes out if I'm speaking Korean. If someone's asking me something, it's like, oh well, this is what happened, and then my wife gets angry. Oh, you should have said this other thing. Um, I'm supposed to make excuses for her because she is gone or did something, and I can't. Her mom says, "Oh, where is she?" And I say, "Oh, she's out drinking." And then her mom's like, "What? She shouldn't be out drinking." And I'm supposed to lie. I'm supposed to say, "Oh, she's studying." I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Uh, and it's not that I'm not imaginative. I write novels. I write fantasy novels. I come up with crazy worlds and things, but something's so wrong about lying. My kids too. It's just such a waste of energy to be uncomfortable about things with my children. If they ask me a question, I want to tell them. I explain it to them. Um, I mean, what can I tell you without thoroughly embarrassing my children? Well, for example, my daughter needed bras. That was It was funny. My wife wasn't around. She was working and was gone traveling. I'm not sure. She just isn't home as much as I am. I'm home because I'm a teacher, so I have more free time. I'm a college professor, so I have more free time. And my daughter needed bras, so I took her shopping for bras. And I was the only man in that section, and I was the only non-Korean in that section, and um, she kind of knew what she wanted, and we took our time and we looked around and we figured things out together. I mean, this she was like buying proper bras for the first time, and I can't, I was uncomfortable because of my ignorance, but I wasn't uncomfortable because I was shopping for bras with my daughter. It's something she needs. There's no reason for me to be uncomfortable about that. And it was one of the it's a nice memory because the women that were around us were extremely helpful. They were trying to speak a little bit of English and give us some advice. Oh, no, you don't want that. Oh, you should look at these over here. They were trying to talk to her and help her, and that it was really kind of a beautiful moment. And it's something that I would have missed out on if I was uncomfortable. If I said, "Oh, I'm not taking you because I'm a man, and you go do that with your mom." That I don't care about that. I mean, I talked to her about whatever. I've talked to both of my older kids about sex, and I've told them things they probably didn't want to hear, but um, I had already built a foundation with them since they were little kids that they could come and talk to me about anything, and I would be honest with them. So they understand, like, that. If I'm telling them something, it's because it's important. I want to make sure that they don't do anything crazy. Uh, I don't worry about my daughter. I worry a little bit, but not too much. Um, my son's the one I worry about. He's a boy. He's a stupid boy. Uh, I'm really scared that he's gonna. This is a kid who he's so picky about clothes. Oh, my clothes. Oh, it's uncomfortable. I don't want it. Like, he doesn't want to wear uncomfortable clothes. You're telling me this kid is gonna have sex with someone and put a condom on? I just can't. it makes me nervous. I'm so scared that, he's in high school right now. Yeah, I hope he never sees this. He's gonna come to me one day and be like, "Oh, I got this girl pregnant," and I just don't know what I'm gonna do. Well, I won't be mad. That's a waste of energy, but I'm scared. I'm scared. It worries me. I don't think about it often, um, but that's the kind of stuff you got to talk to your kids about. Okay, so anyways, being honest. See, I go on tangents, but that's what you're here for. If you want to see inside my brain, this is how it works. Um, something happened to the editing here. I don't know what. I This is just kind of a big transition thing. My students are starting to learn. Things are getting better. Um, and I like this idea that I don't stop trying. Like we're all climbing our individual pedestals. It's not the most original thought. It's a little bit cliche. It's the idea of climbing a mountain, get to the highest peak, and then go higher. I don't know. It just felt good in here. Um, and that's it, really. The the Cliff's Edge part two is where the magic really happens. Uh, there's more conflict. There's a new vice principal that comes. Um, that's one of my favorite chapters. I know I'm going on these little tangents and things, but it really it really feels good. Whoever's watching this, you're kind of my therapist. Uh, it was therapy when I wrote this, but it also helps to talk about it after all this time. Actually, say some of this stuff out loud. I don't really talk to anybody about these things, and I'm veering into things that are going on in my life uh, a little bit, and that's okay. That's kind of the point of this. God, I wish I had more to say about this one. It's right here. No, that's part two. Where's part one? Here's part one. So it was broken into three sections when I did the pure editing because each section has to be roughly 3,000 words on the website I was using. So, uh, just briefly, I use Google Drive for my writing. This was back before Microsoft had any sort of cloud service that I knew about. I like to be able to log into Google on any device, and all my stuff is there. Um, what's in the archive? We've got short story. This is the old draft. I showed this in the introduction video. Okay, so all right, so let's look at this because there's probably a little bit here. Can you hear my mouse? That's kind of annoying. There's probably something here. Yeah, see, did you see that real quick? Foreigner. What's that? Where's Cliff's Edge? Nope, that's still. Nope, I think I went too far. No, I didn't. What? I don't. This is weird. Where? No, hold on. I've gone too far. I really needed to put bookmarks. I didn't start doing that until I was writing the fantasy novel. No, see, this is all. This is weird. I don't know where the chapter is. Because this is about meeting my wife. That's about for. Okay, so where. That's different. Um, so much random stuff. Where's the I have no idea where it is. Oh, that's weird. It was at the end of the book? Oh, that's really strange, isn't it? Why did I have it at the end? Okay. So chapter 16. Okay, I see. So originally I thought, oh, this is the climax. It should be at the end. Oh, I'm glad I changed it. Yeah, that's strange. So I had a quote from Catcher in the Rye originally. Anyway, I keep picturing all these little kids playing some game in this big field of Ryandall. Thousands of little kids and nobody's around. Nobody big, I mean. Except me. And I'm standing on the edge of some crazy cliff. What I have to do, I have to catch everybody if they start to go over the cliff. I mean, if they're running and they don't look where they're going, I have to come out from somewhere and catch them. That's all I'd do all day. I'd just be the catcher in the Ryandall. I mean, come on, if you read the book, it's perfect. That is exactly how I felt. I felt like I needed to be the catcher in the rye. I still feel that way. I'm teaching these kids. I do not want them to have to grow up any quicker, especially here in Korea. The education culture is so strict. Um, I need to be a breath of fresh air. I need to keep them back a little bit. Whoa, slow down. You don't want to go over there yet. Like, wait until you're ready. So yeah, so wow, this was at the end. And I played around a lot more. I mean, this is how I actually write on the whiteboard, so you can see things are sloping down. Um, trying to play with the structure, make this thing really small. That's a small little thing. Um, oh yeah, and then I had a lot of quotes. So I had one from Where the Sidewalk Ends. Yeah, that's a good one. God gave us fingers. Ma says, use your fork. God gave us voices. Ma says, don't scream. May says, eat broccoli, cereal, and carrots. But God gave us tasties for maple ice cream. God gave us fingers. Ma says, use your hanky. God gave us puddles. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Um, I like that poem from Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. Like, God gave us all these things, but then Ma is saying, no, you got to do things a different way. That's another perfect thing for being a teacher. It's like, well, God gave little kids these loud voices to yell and scream and laugh, but then we have to tell them, no, sit down, don't run around and scream. Um, Kurt Vonnegut quote. Yeah, that one doesn't fit as well. I just really liked it. I tried to change the text where I'm thinking of the lies. I wanted it to look ugly, but I changed it, I guess. I made a lot of changes. That's something that I do want to like. This could have worked. I should have kept this. I probably changed it because one of my peer readers, critiquers said that they didn't like it. Um, as a general rule, if all of them said the same thing, then I really thought about it, and I'd say 90% of the time I actually made that change. Looking back, I kind of wish I hadn't changed this. Um, I kind of like it. It also helps the reader when you have things like that. Breaks up the text, gives your eyes something. Ooh, what's that to look at? What else is in here? Yeah. So and then here it's like, um, complete. It's all together. It's all one part. I got all these little bits and pieces. I had listen in giant letter. Hey, you. I would like. I was trying to break the fourth wall as a writer and like directly address you, the reader, and actually like really make you pay attention and not just passively read, but actively read and process what I was saying. Really acknowledge the fact that I was talking directly to you. That might have been a bit too much. So that was the end. So that's I made that the end. That's strange. That's very strange. Okay. That's pretty good. Oh geez, don't look at my what am I showing you? Okay. That's pretty good. This is getting really long again. 45 minutes, 46 minutes. I mean, if you like these long videos, if you're tell me, I can make it long. I don't mind. I just feel like I like long YouTube videos. I like to see a long video. I know what I'm going to be watching. Um, but our culture nowadays, people want short stuff. All right, I'm rambling again. I'll wrap it up here. Uh, look for other videos, other chapters if you enjoy this. One of these days I'll try to make one that's a little bit shorter. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, you can tell me in the comments. There should be links to my blog. You can go there. You can buy the book. There's a lot of ways to get in touch with me. You just have to search around a little bit. I have a Twitter. It should be Height of a Mind. I have there's all kinds of stuff, but I can't promise I'll check everything. Comments here I might answer if someone watches this. Okay, that's good. From the Height of a Mind, I'm Mike.